guys, welcome back to Biz Vibe. I'm Vivian Camille. Sorry I didn't get a video out last week. It was because I was preparing and racing the Bandera 100k. Woo-hoo! So today we're doing another race recap. What went wrong, what went right, how the day panned out, who was out there, and things of the sort. To start out, this year had a stacked women's field with names like Amanda Basham, Sally McRae, Kat Bradley, along with a lot of other strong, fast women. This year's women's field was strung out amongst the course with a dominating performance by the top 4 women. There was about a 20 to 30 minute gap in between each one of them. After those 4 women, the field tightened up with about 10 minutes in between each competitor. I was amongst that. As a result, there wasn't much jockeying for position, and within the first loop, everyone had found their position. I spent the majority of this race in the back of that pack because my focus was to have a very strong second half, and that meant intentionally slowing down on that first loop so that I could maintain my pace throughout the race. I went out very conservatively, and around the second loop I started trying to close the gap between me and Sally McRae, but that woman is a strong runner. So I crossed the line in 7th place, 30th overall, average pace of 11:01, and I had run 63.67 miles with 6,965 feet gain. This is certainly a tougher course than you'd expect for Texas. The sneaky hills and relentless rocks get to your knees pretty quick. For me, I had been dealing with a hip issue 2 weeks prior to the race, and the rocks and hills weren't great for that either. Around mile 3, I started feeling the hip again, and that just continued on for the next 60 miles. So that certainly played into my day, but it didn't put a damper on it. I thoroughly enjoyed the race and had a heck of a lot of fun out there. Yeah, I quickly made friends with the funky hip and sore quads. Therefore, I did not want to talk about it with my crew. David and I worked out a beautiful schedule of proper nutrition, what I was going to need throughout the aid stations, and when I'd need my iPod, and also when it was okay to ask me certain questions. So I gave myself till mile 20 to assess whether or not I should finish the race or not, as far as the pain with the hip would go. And around mile 20, I was like, you know, we're just going to keep on pushing through this. It would be shooting pain here and there, but it wasn't consistent shooting pain, so I figured, it's fine. It's good. Just don't think about it. My nutrition strategy for this race was tailwind in my bottle, kind of watered down throughout the entire race, goo, and Stroop waffles. That chalked up to be about 300 calories per hour. So for the most part, this nutrition strategy worked well. David and I did a great job of moving through the aid stations quickly. I would drop my trash, pick up new goo and waffles, a new bottle, and move through. This course had overall 11 aid stations, so my goal was to move through those aid stations as quick as possible. The halfway point, I came in. I needed to change socks and get the rocks out of my shoes, and then get some trail toes for some chafing that had started. I moved through that halfway aid station quickly with my crew, which was great. They were ready. I had told them at Yaya, the aid station beforehand, what I needed, and we got that going, and I was off to the races again. Unfortunately, around mile 40, my stomach started going south with the waffles. My body just started preferring goo, and those were still hard to get down as well, but I could not get the waffles down. In order for me not to lose anything in my stomach, I slowed my pace down. I would do a slow run, walk, run, walk, run, walk, to just get the heart rate down and calm the stomach in any way possible. I also switched to water. So about mile 55, my hip started making itself known through the downhills with shooting pain almost every step that I took. At this point, it didn't matter what the pace was, I just needed to finish the thing. I asked for a pacer, which was my mom, and she was there just to make sure that I was not walking, but running. The downhills certainly were slower. I had to carefully walk down those. And honestly, for this circumstance, I'm proud of the clip that we did move at. There was one point where I just had to scream really loudly and release the pain from inside. About 1 mile left to go, I heard a scream that was not from me. Looked back, saw my mother in the air, and then she came down and hit a rock. She stood up and her entire face was covered in blood. So at this point I'm at a pretty low moment emotionally. Everything's pretty raw. I'm pretty deep in the sufferfest, and I saw that and it was a bit traumatizing. So I finished up my mile by myself. 4 stitches later, she was good to go and will actually be running the Houston Marathon this weekend. So go mama, go mama. She's a strong trooper and a great pacer. I PR'd by an hour and a half and I clocked in around 11:49. So I'm happy with that performance. I'd like to see what I can do with a healthy body, and this Friday I'll be figuring out what the heck is going on with this hip of mine. A few things I would do differently. 1, communication through the aid stations. I can always make those aid stations quicker. I thought I was communicating well, but apparently what I was saying was not matching what was in my head. Having one person instead of like 4 people talking to me would help with that a little bit too. 2, I need to practice with and try using potatoes instead of just sugar, sugar, sugar. I think that's what got my stomach a bit upset. That was a lot of goo and a lot of tailwind. And then mostly what I'd like to change is the training. Moving forward, I need to integrate more consistent speed work, more strength training for my joints like my hip and my knees, so that I can start on the line healthy and happy with a fully functioning body. I never felt like my fitness was lacking out there. It was mostly my body wasn't cooperating. I'm gonna work on those things for the coming races. We'll see if I make it to the Black Cannon 100k. That's next up on my list, but depending on what the deal is with this hip will depend greatly on whether or not I'm there. Big thanks to you guys for sending me all the good vibes and great messages. A couple of you came up and actually introduced yourself, which was super fun. I like getting to know you guys. Also, enormous thanks to my crew. Could not have done it without you, especially David Bobbitt, who is my master crew chief. Could not have done it without him. He was the one who got me through these aid stations super quick and had everything ready, everything planned out, and stuck to the plan. You rock. Big thanks to Tejas Trails and Hoke One One for putting on this event. It is a great race, but just know it's a knee crusher. I will see you guys next week. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and happy trails. Oh.
Thank goodness we made you carry this giant metal cactus. That's very helpful right now.
Oh. I think that it was my headlamp that did it. Because I heard a crunching when it happened, and I just instinctively knew that my head had not hit a rock.